Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Geoff, and unfortunately, alongside me, Max is not here tonight. Might pop in later, but we have two sufficient guests to replace it. Obviously, you all know Mr. Impact blog, Craig. And then joining us today for the first time is Robbie, a regular of our Twitter and our Twitter group. And he's joining us today as we kind of get ready for our new show that we've been talking about, Talking Point, which if you saw it is Talking Show. So much talking. It'll be similar to that with a bunch of different guests. So it'll always be changing in some different points of view, which I thought was really cool of the pre-Bound for Glory thing. So just like if Max was here, Craig's going to moderate instead. I'm going to pass it off to him because we have a lot to talk about. But if you want to both say hello, and then we'll move on to it.
Hello, everyone.
Short and sweet. Yes, it's me. It's MIB. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Some mixed reviews from people about Bound for Glory this year. But I'm sure we'll get into that. So just go straight into it. And I'll give each question for each match. Give our thoughts and feelings. So the first match is for you. Who stood out in the X Division scramble? Who stood out as someone who could possibly be the next X Division champion?
Yeah. So for me with this, I went back and watched it last night just to make sure. Sometimes when it's live, you kind of overlook or think too past stuff. And for it being the opening match, I had a mixed feeling at first. And let me get to that really quickly. And essentially, I was thinking, okay, this belt needs an identity, right? We always say that it can't just be a mid-card belt because the action really isn't. But at the same time, what it's always been is the workhorse belt, right? You come in, you nonstop offense, very little defense, and that's what this was. And if that's what we're going to make the X Division and get back to, as the younger guys and girls doing that and then moving on, it was a perfect match for that. I thought everyone came with their best gear, which I was going to talk to Max about because he loves gear. But it was, everyone looked good. But I think even though the right thing happened, I really like TJP and what he's been doing, but you can't deny Chris Bay being the future of that X Division for a long period of time. I thought Trey looked really good, which I wanted to mention. His trunks kind of fit his style and I think where he needs to go as an individual. But if I had to choose one, I think I'm going to go with Bay simply because he's, instead of reverting ever, he lost the belt and he's still pushing forward and still doing the right things to get where he needs to be. So I liked the match for what it was. I love Jordan being that little dynamic in there as well. And you can't look past Rohit's equality kicks in.
Yeah, Robbie, your thoughts on the match and who stood out for you?
Well, for me, I wanted Trey to win, so he really stood out to me, although I don't know if he really did as much in the match as I would have liked. But I will say I watched with my girlfriend, who sort of watches wrestling with me, and for her, Rohit stood out the most. Like, every comment was about him, especially the equality line. She loved that. And like Jordan Grace was great in the match. I thought she was going to win for a minute there. And yeah, Chris Bay is fantastic, and I was shocked when they took the title off him when they did. But yeah, I would say for me, it was Trey.
That's a good call. I mean, in my feelings on this match, especially with the way the title's been booked recently, basically being hot-shotted quite a lot, I was glad they didn't take it off Rohit like I was kind of worried. It gives Rohit more of a chance to shine, and yeah, Rohit really stood out, and what's more to say, it was a great match, great way to open the show.
Yeah, besides for, I mean, I was, obviously Rohit stood out. I was looking for past the X Division champion. But if we included him, yes, I think I would say him as well. But I think we're going to see evolution of Rohit coming from this. Yeah, he's the squirrely kind of cheating. I said pansy on the pre-thing, so I'll say it again. Kind of champion, which we haven't had in a very long time, which I'd like. But I think we'll be seeing an evolution of Rohit and a more serious Rohit. And I think that it's going to escalate in this next taping. But I think it did its job as far as where we each could say one of the people and not be wrong. Just because it's a point of view. I mean, obviously that's for anything on here, but each person I think did themselves a service to looking better or taking that next step to their character. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and as our friend James said, he is the Crash Holly of the X Division.
The Mad Mikey.
Very good.
So, yes, moving on to the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Obviously, the unfortunate incident with Heath, the match being changed. Thankfully, the stipulation was Rhino or Heath could win the match and both will get the contracts. Keep contract, get contract. But was Rhino winning and being chosen as the next winner was that the right choice, or should they have gone another way with it?
Yeah, Robbie, you want to take the lead on that?
Well, I've never been a fan of Rhino, I must say. I didn't want him to win, but then again, I didn't want Heath to not get a contract. So it wouldn't have been my choice. Like, preferably Heath would have won, or Brian Myers would have been a choice for me. I know probably not at most, but he was one that really stood out for me in the match. I wouldn't have picked Rhino, but, it gets the story where it needs to go.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let me hold on 1 second. Got stuff popping up as we go. Sorry, it's Max. Not gonna make it. So yeah, I agree with that. And I actually have to give you credit on Brian Myers. We've said it on what went down in the podcast as well. Is just I believe Brian Myers has all the talent in the world. I think he's a charismatic guy. I think he has a good look to him. And he could go. He really in the ring. I've said that I think on the last what went down in those ropes, between those ropes, he is probably one of the best technical wrestlers we have if we let him do his thing. And I think they took the first step with him as well, given black gear now, the more get away from that Mets/Knicks coloring scheme that was really King of Queens stuff. I think he needs to move on and find something different because he was kind of doing that elsewhere. But I do like where he was headed, and I liked what he did with Tennille and Swoggle and all those other ones. So he had a good moment there. The one thing I want to mention, answer your question first. If Heath was hurt, which I didn't think at first because I must have missed the opening thing. He was hurt from the get-go. I think as soon as he did something to himself when he was hitting, I think it was actually Brian Myers. And then I think it just escalated because as soon as he ran in the ring, he did a move or something, then he was on those ropes. But obviously, we're not there. In the moment, it looked like they called it, got the same outcome by having Rhino do it. And it was really cool to see James Storm, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Sammy in the last four.
Yeah.
Was it the final four? One, it was, let's get that out. James Storm being there was hearing sorry about your luck and him coming out was just, I said it on there too. It's like when your girlfriend tells you to do better and then you do better and she comes back. Like that's not a feeling, but that's what it felt like with James Storm coming back. But originally I was disappointed. Get to my point. I was disappointed with the Swoggle and all that. And I think that's partially us hyping up the show itself and maybe a little bit too much. But when I look back on it, obviously Daivari was here before. He was Sheikh Abdul Bashir. He was an X Division champion, as Josh pointed out. He was wearing the same clothes as he was back then. What I want to point out about that is I think he is a person, to go back full circle to that last topic, I think he's going to be the one that helps Rohit get to that next step if he's at this taping. And the reason I say that, I saw someone write online like, oh, I think he's going to work Rohit. I was like, seems kind of misguided racism. I was like, why? Because they're both. Then I thought about it, and it has nothing to do with race or anything of that nature. What it has to do with was, if we remember, Abdul Bashir was kind of Rohit's character in WWE, as far as the comical, kind of more the the hype man, but not really ever accomplishing anything. He goes to TNA and he takes himself more seriously eventually. But when he was champion, he cheated a lot to keep that belt. So it could be something where, his previous Desi Hit Squad members and his mentor left, and now he needs a new one to get him on the right path, in a more serious path. And I think that possibly could be Davari. I wanted to say Abdul Bashir, but Davari. So I liked.
Uh-oh.
Seem to have lost Geoff there.
No, I got a phone call, of course. Just to wrap it up, to get called again. The one thing I really did love about this was, even though a lot of the times were no rhyme or reason, it was like 15 seconds later, 30 seconds later, someone else came out. The video package and the story told inside really made this feel like it's something to look forward to each Bound for Glory. It elevated a little bit to make it seem more important than it has been in the past. Instead of just, oh, it's a battle royal for a thing, it made it feel more important. And I like that. I respect that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, last year's coil shot was great. This year's, I think, with Return of Storm, I think it made it a little bit better.
Yeah. I will say that I was kind of watching, and, it's Davari, that's kind of cool. I was at the Bound for Glory. He wrestled at last, so that was kind of cool for me to see. And Swoggle, it's all right. I was not really expecting much from the surprises. But when I heard, sorry about your damn luck, I just, I was sitting back, and I just jumped to the edge of my seat, and, my girlfriend's looking at me like, okay, who is this? And I just waited, because I was like, okay, I got to see him before I really get excited.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I was exactly the same. I heard, sorry about your damn luck. I leapt forward and think, show him, where are you? He came out like, yes.
Yeah, it was. It generated the natural reaction that we're supposed to have in wrestling, right? Not all this anger and Twitter bullshit that we hear or see and gossip. Just hearing someone's music hit and to have that feeling, that's what this is all about to me. If it's a finish, if it's a music playing at the beginning or the end of someone's match, it's pretty damn cool. And that was a nice added touch to it without overdoing the surprises.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we move on to the Moose and EC3 match. Guess you could call it. It was technically in a ring, but there was a lot of talk going into where is it going to be, Impact Zone in Ring of Honor. Moose tweeted out that he's heading to Baltimore. Did that match deliver on what you thought it was going to be?
Well, at least, I'm going to start and take this one really quickly. I don't have too much to say about it because, I'll let you guys talk about it. And I'm also a fan of cinematic matches. So, to answer your question, it did what it did. At the beginning, I was not happy with how it was shown to us, right? Kind of simple, the same old thing. EC3's in there doing the, fighting his follower or whoever the hell it is. But the story that was told from that point forward with Moose wasn't about the fight itself. It was about the transformation of Moose. And I think that's what EC3 is going to do on his, and I said on our group chat, I think he's going to go ROH next, which he already is, and he's going to help someone with their narrative there. He's going to go to AEW and probably do that with MJF as well. And then he'll make the decision where he lands. But I liked it. It was a good send-off for EC3, if that's a send-off. And it was a great send-off for Moose from Bound for Glory on to be that more serious guy in control of his narrative. Moose, he hasn't – it was just cool to see all that in company. One thing I want to go back on real quick, and I apologize. I didn't mention about the Rhino thing. With Rhino – I don't want to call it a blessing in disguise because I hope Heath is fine. If it's a hernia, like they said, I hope he recovers really quick because I want him on the show. But if he had won like he was supposed to, kind of is like there's no negative to that, right? There's happy, oh, they're happy and they're a tag team. For me, I'd rather see a turn on each other just because I'd like to see something like that. And if Rhino wins, he now could say, oh, well, Heath, you're hurt, so I'm going to take the title shot. I'm sorry, I'm going to go for a singles one. And that can start the Heath anger point. So I think in a weird way, this will help us long term. But it sucks to see him injured. But anyways, back to I'll leave it to you guys to chat about EC3.
Robbie?
Well, as an adult, EC3 is my favorite wrestler. Like, since I was a kid, I haven't liked any wrestler this much. I met him once outside a NXT show. He came up to me. I didn't even come up to him. He was super nice. He's just the biggest thing to me. So to see him come back was very important to me. I wanted him in Impact. And although I was a little disappointed, it was all cinematic stuff and he wasn't really there. I loved this. I loved that he went to do the 1%er for the first time in years and hesitated because, he doesn't want to go back to what he was. I loved that the music playing through a lot of it was like a slowed down piano version of Trouble. Or at least that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
I loved possibly a transformation of Moose, with the followers doing the Moose. I wondered if he's going to become a babyface. And him walking out with the belt, I wonder if it'll stick around. Maybe a heavyweight title instead. They'll have the X Division and they'll have a heavyweight title below the world title. I'm a person that likes cinematic matches when they're done well. There's some NXT ones I thought were boring and bad, but I think this was done very well, and I loved it.
Those are interesting thoughts. I mean, so obviously going into it, like I said, I thought, where's it going to be? Is it going to be Impact Zone or will it be ROH? And it's slightly disappointed me when I saw where it was. I'm pretty sure that's like, it feels like to me, it's like in the back, like at the very back of the Skyway Studios where they film. I don't know why it had that feeling to it. Like I doubt it would have gone that far, but I liked it. I liked it for the fact that, in the sense of the storyline, where Moose is going to head now, and with the talk of the TNAIW title, if the rumors are true and they're still talking of a spin-off show, maybe that's where it ends up. But who really knows?
It's a great point. Obviously we talk more than just review on the show, so I just want to sidetrack to that really quick. Do you think the TNA show is going to happen? I mean, the roster's getting big enough, and if the people come back that we think are, it would be cool. But how do you do the titles? Do you think it's worth it?
I made my feelings unclear about this in a blog post I wrote a while back. TNA needs to stay in the past. Reference it, have an occasional anniversary, but leave it where it is. TNA gave a lot of people a bad taste in their mouth. Why risk the chance of bringing those feelings back up again?
See, I think we're past that point. I think it's in that realm where now it's kind of retro cool. The people that have dealt with it, and they got all their corny jokes out, and they're the same still lame jokes, and you're never going to change that, no matter if we're Impact or TNA. I love the fact that this place has history. Now, if you look back on WWE, you could say the same thing about them. Any organization besides maybe AEW who doesn't have that history, there's always going to be a little a bludgeon on that the allure of it. ROH, I mean, I think we're going through that now, unfortunately, with them, or have been. So I think it's always going to be there, but the history is too amazing as far as how it changed the wrestling industry. And like I always say in the show, we are unbiased. I will say the same thing about Impact that I will about NXT or anything else. I'll critique it the way I would the same. But we cannot deny that Impact Wrestling / TNA has literally, NXT is Impact in the Impact Zone when it was there originally. Okay. I mean, AEW is legitimately TNA ran by Dixie Carter South. Like I know people hate when people say that, but let's think. First, I won't get into all that. But we are pro wrestling. Does not mean I don't want it to succeed or not to succeed, but I want to say that just so you know that when I say what I'm saying, that I mean it. And I mean, there's so much in today's modern wrestling. We can see with the TNA Knockouts titles coming back, tag titles. That's all TNA. That's all our history. So I don't know. I'm with you in the sense that I like the wink back. I just don't want to do what WCW or even WWF did eventually and water down the product by splitting into 2 shows.
No. Didn't need it. Robbie, any thoughts?
I like the referencing to TNA. I'm somebody that has been watching since 2002. Well, near the end of 2002, but and most of the show. To give you my rundown, I've been to 4 Bound for Glories, 2 Slammiversaries, and a No Surrender. They were all TNA, right? Oh well, the last Bound for Glory was the first one that was Impact. So that has tons of nostalgia for me. I look at the good. I don't look at I don't think of the Russo stuff or Sports Entertainment Extreme or or any of that stuff. It was like the guys from WCW I didn't want to see anymore, and they were all in one spot. But I think about, well, for me, the Main Event Mafia is like the stable for me because it's all of my favorite wrestlers of all time all put together. So I think about stuff like that. I think about all those banger matches Kurt Angle had with AJ Styles. I think of, the triple threat with AJ and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels. All this is TNA history. And seeing that belt is cool, So I like seeing it. I hope it doesn't go away, but I don't know if I really think there should be another show. I don't know if they really have the roster and the money to do another show.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I agree. I love seeing the TNA title. And all those matches, yes. Like when you think of those wrestlers, you think total non-stop action. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't have this. Well, I was going to say that I don't have the same connection to those 3 letters, but I kind of caught the end of those letters. It was Impact, TNA Impact at that point when I started watching in 2012. I don't know. I agree. There's no. It doesn't.
You came in a rough time. Huh? You came in a very, very transitional rough time in our history. I can understand your point of view being younger of, oh shit, man, I had to fight for liking this show because everyone else was against me at that point. So I get that grief. I think it's easier for Robbie and I, who have watched since the beginning in 2002, that there were so many great times that little blip of bullshit doesn't really define the company to me. But at the same point, this management team has done, especially coming from a TNA day one homer here, this management team has made Impact Wrestling mean something. And that logo, not nearly the same level as TNA, but it's becoming something where I'm not like, oh, Impact Wrestling logo. When it first came and it was the Hogan era and it was the big blue ugly shit and then the blue ropes and then the 6-sided blue with GFW and then the blue with Impact and the ugly owl. Okay, we are now at a point where I feel like we got past that. We were figuring ourselves out, and I think we have an identity that makes sense. We're back to the red and black, which I think is a nice tip of the hat to us and also to Access TV. But I don't know. I think the thing I'm most scared about would be the devaluation of the titles. And if we're gonna have a whole new separate show, if it's A and B show or A and A, whatever you want to call it, you're gonna have more titles and more titles created to make it work. And it just, I'd rather keep it in house in one show. And if we do eventually have 2, that both rosters are available to be on there.
Yeah, they don't need to split them up. You don't need to. To TNA was TNA. This is now Impact Wrestling. That's what I'll say on that.
Beg to differ.
So let's go to next match. Ken Shamrock versus Eddie Edwards. Now, obviously, for obvious reasons, it's clear why Shamrock went over Eddie, but did Shamrock really need to go over at that point over Edwards, who just lost the world title?
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. If you watch the pre-show or our prediction show or whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't know. I'm too tired. I got Bound for Glory. What is it? Would you say it was, Craig? Bound for Glory jet lag or
I said
Yeah. Hang on, yeah. Still trying to get over it. But watching it, or let me get to that. For saying what I said, I said I wasn't excited about for this match. I'm disappointed that Eddie was going to lose, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to tell you, I walked away with this being one of the matches I liked the most. And there's a few reasons to that. One, and obviously we'll jump to the heavyweight title picture, or world title picture later, so I won't get too far ahead. But a lot of these matches, past a certain point, 3 minutes, 4 minutes into the match, I could give two shits who won, because they put on such a good story in the ring that it was believable to whoever won. Now, yeah, Shamrock, did he need to win? No, but was he invited into inaugurated? What is the damn thing called? Inducted. Jesus, Marion Jones. Inducted into the Hall of Fame the same night? Yeah. Was he introduced by Mick Foley, Bret Hart, and The Raw? Yeah. You kind of got to give him this match, man. For not only just bringing The Rock, we'll just say that. I don't think it hurts Eddie, because Eddie looked good in the match. Essentially, it was a 2-on-2, and the Sammy inclusion to this was brilliant. Him hopping up on the ring and turning it off, and then we see his bat, and then you see the kendo stick right after. I popped. I'm going to be honest. I was on the couch. I popped for that. And it was just an old school, beautifully booked match. The timing and the pacing of it was different and kind of refreshing to what we see all the time, every day. And it looks like Impact is finally making that move to say, okay, well, if the X Division is total nonstop action, literally, with no weight limits, our tag team is banger, whatever. Maybe our other, we could start going back, telling stories in the ring and slow it down a little instead of just, that nonstop action. So I love the match. I'm okay with Shamrock winning. To answer your question, no, he didn't, but yeah, he did. I don't know if that really, I don't know. Who cares? It was good.
Robbie, your feelings on the match, and was the right decision made?
Well, I gotta be honest, it was probably the match on this show I liked the least. Yeah. I didn't not like it, but it was just kind of there for me. I didn't like it as much as some of Shamrock's other matches he's had in the last year. There's a few others that, I really enjoyed, and this one was just fine. I like Sami Callihan a lot, so I liked all his involvement. And I didn't mind Shamrock winning, I liked him a lot when I was, 15, so it's kind of cool to see him, busted out again. And I want to add that it was very strange for me to hear The Rock say Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know in the grand scheme of things, it's essentially a cameo that we didn't pay for, to our knowledge. But I don't. I could care less. I do not care. He was inducting his friend. He went. I thought it was just gonna be like, "Hey, Rock here. Hope you have a good, night, Shamrock." They went in depth and they treated it legitimately. I really liked it. I saw someone complain about it felt like an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame, and was kind of shitting on it. I said, "Who gives a shit? His career was in WWE." And so you're going to have to acknowledge, if this is his induction into a Hall of Fame, that he's going to acknowledge everything from UFC to this. And you know what I really liked was, for someone who might like myself, who thinks they're such a wrestling aficionado, I didn't know that Shamrock started before UFC training for professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear those tidbits from these legends, especially The Rock, was really badass, man. And I thought it went over really well. I don't feel like it was one of those things where Impact used to take footage of Hogan walking by in Japan and putting it on there. Look, oh, Hulk Hogan might appear on Impact. For you old heads, or more recently, who was someone they got the rub from? I think they put like Colt Cabana and stuff on there anytime they could get to work in the other guys that were good, Bullet Club and all that. So it was nice to see that, and it was nice to see the reaction online not be completely negative.
Right. Yeah. Before we get onto the match, I have to talk about The Rock. I mean, The Rock was on Impact Wrestling TV. What the actual fuck is going on? No matter what he was there for, no matter if it was virtually, The Rock, the biggest star in the damn world, was on Impact TV. Maybe I felt like it took away from Shamrock's induction. People were talking about that more than the induction itself. But I agree with Robbie. To hear The Rock say the words Impact Wrestling is something I'd never thought I'd hear in my life.
Yeah. No, same thing for me. But I do want to mention, you brought up a great point, or I want to point that out, is that he is not just the biggest star in our wrestling world, in the sense of, yes, he doesn't wrestle, but if he comes back, he's still The Rock, He is the highest paid actor in all of entertainment. So that sinking in, and you're right, he's not just, not that pro wrestling's down here, but if pro wrestling's here, The Rock is transcended completely. He might be our president one day. Well, not yours, but mine.
Yours. Mine.
You'll move here for that. Yeah. Either way, it's cool to see him. He has such as cliche and whatever as it is, gimmicky as it is, he has an electrifying personality. And to have him and all that attention and electricity come from him and from all the other outlets, him retweeting it, it's good shit. It's good shit.
Perfect. Now, to not take away from Shamrock again, the match, I agree. I went in thinking this was my least favorite match of the night. Turns out it's probably my second or third match of the night.
Oh, wow. That's a lot for you to say.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how Shamrock didn't try and keep up with Eddie. They had their own styles. And Eddie took the brunt of what was essentially the biggest MMA fighter has been ever, in my opinion. Without him, there'd be no UFC. Without him, there'd be nothing like that. So it felt legit that Eddie was taking a beating, but still managed to fight back in some way. I agree with when the lights went down and Eddie and Sammy had the baseball bat and Kenny, I popped, fucking great stuff. I enjoyed the match more than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, and just to touch on that before we move on, I like what you're saying. I liked the fact, and as you were mentioning, that Shamrock didn't try to keep up. He did his thing. He kept it to the ground. It felt like a video game compared to a match with a man in his 50s and what do you call it? I don't mean that because it was just high flying. There wasn't obviously high flying and hurricanranas and shit, but they each did their thing, and it felt like two guys coming together and fighting, like fighting in their thing. And Shamrock pulling the punches and the kicks. It just was really cool to see that. Like they made Josh, and I'll give Josh credit here, made every knee feel like it could have been possibly the end of the match, and I like that. Because we've gotten so far away in wrestling. I hate to be the old guy who says it, but we've gotten so far away from wrestling, from telling a story, two guys representing their style of fighting, and having a match based on that, putting creativity based on that, and seeing how they connect. Now it's just, hey, can you do these moves? Can you do these moves? Let's go out there and have a great match. Yes, fun, entertaining, not taking anything away from it. I love them too. But this was just on a different level for me, and it was refreshing. That's the best way it was a nice palate cleanser. I'll say that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So I think now's the perfect time to come down off our marking out for The Rock and take a quick break.
Okay.
Just have a little breather. We'll see you all in a few. We are back. Hope you enjoyed the little break we had, and you'll see more of that coming up soon. So yeah, we'll get straight back into it, and as soon as I get my notes up, and we are going into the four-way tag team title match. Now, I think obviously with Alex Shelley being injured before the show, they obviously have to change some plans. So, do we think if Shelley hadn't have been injured, the North would have won the tag titles? Who will start?
I'll let you go. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to hope so. For me, Josh Alexander is my number one wrestler in the company for the year so far. Like, he's had I used to grapple app a lot. If I look at the totals of 4-star plus matches, he's there the most for sure. And Ethan Page is great too. I love them as a team, and I'm also from Ontario, Canada, so I gotta cheer for my boys.
Oh, you're as well. Well,
Yes.
that'll only be my present.
So they were who I wanted to win, regardless. I kind of thought the Good Brothers were just going to take them, and I wasn't really looking forward to that. So I was happy with it, and hopefully that was the plan. And hopefully Chris Sabin sticks around too.
Right. Yeah, I think Chris will. I'll answer your question first before I ramble. I think I don't like making up rumors, but we're supposed to, speculate and talk, and that's what we do. We talk it out. So for me, here's what I think. I said from the pre-show, from weeks before that Motor City was not going to win on that pay-per-view, on Bound for Glory, and at Bound for Glory. And for no other reason than simply, I think Alex did us and his buddy Sabin a favor, in the sense of, hey, come on, reform Motor City with me, get in the door again, and then, I'm sure Chris Sabin, does his thing, and Alex will run into the sunset. But I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I did not think they would leave with the titles, unfortunately, as much as I'd like them to keep them for quite a while. So I'm not going to speculate and say that Alex Shelley wasn't hurt. But I think the outcome was the outcome regardless. Now, once again, don't know, not there, don't go backstage, don't read the rumors. But he was limping on the way to the ring. I will say that in fairness. Obviously, they took him out right away because they didn't want to jeopardize it or whatever it may be. So legit or not, the outcome, I think, stayed the same. And honestly, if they booked that match, not knowing Shelley couldn't, do you know what I mean? Like, once they found out Shelley couldn't go, if they booked it that day or the day before, Friday, even, Thursday, Wednesday, I don't care. That match was a beautifully booked match, to where now, if you watch the show or Craig, who talks a lot to me there, Chris Sabin, I respect. I love Chris Sabin. I appreciate him, but Alex Shelley's my guy. Chris Sabin, has never been a. I'll just say this: when he won the heavyweight title, I was not happy. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'll be honest. And none of my group of friends were either, because we didn't think he was the star of that tag team. And that's perception. That's my point of view. I know he's one of the best X Division champions of all time. Hail Saban, Future Shot. I love it all. I remember literally the first Ultimate X like it was my child's birthday. Like I remember it beautifully. Sorry, Ellie, I love you, but it was part of history to me. That means a lot. So it's not disrespect to him. It just it's how I felt at the time or not. But I was marking out hard during that match for him. The way they booked it to make him, yes, he was the underdog. No, he had no chance of winning. But by the end, I could give two shits who won. I didn't care. I thought maybe he could win. It was just it's such a good, a nicely planned match for a group of 8 guys that thought they were going to have, or excuse me, a group of 7 guys who thought they were going to have 8. I don't know. I didn't see that there was a misstep there or anything of that nature. That match killed it for me. And I was pleasantly surprised, because my thought process is when you have all those brains and all those creativities and egos, that match, it's hard to do an 8-man match and everyone get their shit in and it'd be good. But hey, they did it and they proved me wrong. That was some really quality wrestling. I like that.
Right. I mean, I've got a couple of things on this one. I mean, with the tag match, obviously on Is Talking, I predicted the Good Brothers to win. But during this match, because of how they booked it and the way they booked it, I found myself rooting for Saban. When the Good Brothers had a pin on Saban, I was relieved when he kicked out. But it hit me. I thought I'm supposed to be rooting for the Good Brothers here. What? But the way they booked it, when you can book a match, it was the same with the X Division title match. When you can book a match with multiple people and have you believe that every single one of them can win it, that is pure genius storytelling. And I love that stuff. And yeah, I mean, obviously with Saban, like obviously my feelings on the machine guns. That's because I watched Saban more. So, but yeah.
Wait, really? What was the spot that you're mentioning? The kick out, was it Anderson had a pin on Saban? Like I think they did a tag double move and he kicked out. Saban kicked out at like, I don't know what it was. What move it was? Was it a Magic Killer? No,
it was throughout the match. But I can't remember what spot it was. But every time someone got a pin on Saban, I was relieved when he kicked out. Okay,
there was one spot in the match where I was like, oh no, like I wanted, and I love Carl Anderson, I love the Good Brothers, but I was like, Saban, kick out, and he did it. I didn't know if it was. And also, I don't know who. Someone pointed out on Twitter that this was a big step in getting away from the TNA thing of booking the former WWE guys straight away in the tag title, winning titles. It's a big step away from that, which is a good thing. They're one of those groups that transcends. Again, I'll pass it to Robbie, but they are people just like Sammy, I feel, who don't need the belt. The belt needs them, and I don't think the Good Brothers, they'll be just fine not getting the titles until next year or wherever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I do want to mention really quick, Ace and Fulton really had me going that they might win, because it wasn't. Sometimes you have 2 guys that come together, they're going to be singles and it, but their tag stuff is pretty basic. They had spots, they planned things, they did stuff I'd never seen before. The spot with Ace on the shoulder, or whatever, was it Ace on the shoulders of Fulton getting beat up?
Yeah.
It's good shit, man. It's such good stuff.
Robbie?
Yeah, did want to point out earlier when you were talking about Alex Shelley that probably about the same time when me and my friends were watching, Chris Sabin was the guy in Rory City Machine Guns. Like, he's the star. Alex Shelley, he's okay, but that was our perspective. Yeah. So we were thrilled when he won the title.
Maybe in America. I guess only in America.
Maybe.
I will say when Saban won the world title, that was the first time since I've been a wrestling fan that I was genuinely invested in someone winning the world title, and was happy. I hadn't before that. I'd never really watched wrestling. I used to watch the WWE on Sundays. I never watched pay-per-views. So the first WWE pay-per-view I watched live was the first ever Battleground, and the title wasn't even the main event. But I love Chris Sabin. I think I'd be happy seeing him as a world champion again.
I as well.
What am I hearing?
I recall jumping to my feet when that 3 count happened. So.
And Berman was like 15 at the time. So.
Did Sabin win in a cage?
No,
he lost it in a cage.
He lost it in a cage.
He lost in a cage. Okay, I knew I was going to say I celebrated something in it when a title match in a cage. I was there for that. It was in Norfolk. It was the taping where AJ became AJ again. Yeah. I was then.
Anywho,
so beg the difference.
Everyone has their favorites. So.
Wrestling. So now next topic, I'll admit I debated whether to put it in or not, but it's part of the show and something that needs to be talked about. Kylie Ray. Now, the rumors were that she was there, but at the last minute decided not to show up because of some reason. I've heard injury, I've heard anxiety, I've heard COVID. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, but in case of Su Yung, do we think that was very last minute, or was the plan for Su Yung to win the title anyway?
Well, I think it could just be story. Maybe they changed their mind. Like it makes sense. Susie's arms was broken. Maybe they're gonna have Su Yung took over the body or however they say it, and got rid of Kylie Ray to take her shot. I could totally buy that it's a story, but Kylie Ray did do those bunch of shows a few weekends ago. She might be sick, because there was a lot of positive cases from those shows. But I was kind of surprised because when Su Yung came out, I thought, oh, cool, this will be nice. And then I go on Twitter and see post after post of people furious about this, and I was surprised because I thought, it didn't bother me,
Yeah, I was saying it didn't bother me. I like Su Yung. I popped when she won the title. I was very happy, but I can see Geoff brewing a little something. So we go, Geoff.
This is a multi-part thing, and I don't want to just. I'll break it up so we can talk about it a little bit. First, Su Yung. Okay. When her music came and her entrance and how they talked about it, they made her that night. Su Yung is someone who I think they lost in the shuffle there. I know there was people, at the time before she re-signed about how she can wrestle or whatever it may be, and people weren't high on her. Her stock wasn't high. But as we saw with the Susie thing, and then now, obviously back to Su Yung, she is a quality player, and they presented her like so at Bound for Glory. The only thing, so from her music hitting to her hitting the ropes to her entrance to when she got in the ring and she was crowded down, every movement was different and was very Su Yung, right? They put her over, but when the lights hit and the bell rang, then I started to realize, shit, she's going to win the title. Which now I don't care because I love Su Yung and I think it was better that she won it for Su Yung. Like if she just came and had that wonderful entrance and match and they were putting her over and then she lost. Okay. Deonna can recover. She's another person who does not need the title now. The title will need her eventually. With that being said, it was a great match. I actually liked the match a lot. It was one of my more favorite Su Yung matches. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with Deonna, but I'm glad that Su's taken that next step if that's where she's headed, as being the champion. Because she's going to need to be, they're going to be hard shoes to fill with Deonna.
Yeah.
But, and let's not obviously take out the possibility that the belt was supposed to come off Deonna either way, because the tag team titles are coming, and who knows if she's going to be part of that with Kimberly, right? So you get it out of that, and you start a program with Kylie and Sue, and they're not in the tag tournament. Now, as far as, I don't like speculating. If she was injured or had COVID, or it was a last minute breakdown of some sort, I will say this first of all: I suffer, I don't know if suffer, but from bipolar disorder and high anxiety, and this show really has, honestly, I've talked to you, Craig, about it, has helped me cope with a lot of things that I put aside for a lot of years. And I could understand, and I said it in our group, I understand if when she was in AEW and she had not addressed her anxieties or issues, I can't speculate, but that's what we kind of heard from her.
Yeah.
And you go out there in front of 10,000 people, that's a lot of pressure. I understand that. But for her to be in a good place, and I don't think it's just the weed that's being passed around backstage, for her to be in a good place mentally, I think she has had to have some self-reflection, some getting her mind right, her body right, getting to where she feels good being back in the limelight. So I don't think it was a mental health thing either. What I really believe happened, and I'm not going to say this because I'm not going to say that this is fact, because it's not, as far as I know. But what it feels like is Impact Management's really doing a lot of save face right now with this. In regards of, let's look at the details. No one could contact her besides Impact Management. Impact Management told everybody, it's okay, she's fine. We know she's fine, right? Someone said she was injured. No, she's not injured. Okay, well, is it mental health? Well, we're not going to say out of respect. What it seems to me, especially when you play a video package for her that was bomb, by the way, it was the best talking I've ever seen her do. Right up to the end, you're hyping her from the beginning of the show, the pre-show, all of this, right? On top of the fact that they said she's in Tennessee, or is that they're in Tennessee? Nashville, but no one saw her at the arena. So that doesn't mean she came there and was ready to go through the ramp, and then she was like, oh, fuck no, and ran away. It doesn't mean she's hiding in the bathroom. No one saw her there. So what I would think is happening is that people got pissed that card subject changed, and we had to come up with something. Mm-hmm. And without giving it away or using her disability, mental disorder as a work. So at the end of the day, I think what was supposed to happen, it happened. And if this is them going to plan B, then good on them, because once again, just like the 4-way tag match, they killed it. I thought it was seamless. It was nice. In the people online are going to complain about whatever they want to complain about to find whatever they can to complain about. At the end of the day, I feel like Slammiversary does have those bomb matches, and then Bound for Glory is, like I said, our day after WrestleMania, which starts our new cycle of storylines. And you put the belt on Sue, no one knows where Kylie is. I bet she's in the undead realm, if I had to guess.
I didn't think of that. That's cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got a little bit of time. So with this, obviously, loads of conflicting reports. No one knew what really happened. We had Impact denying that it was an injury. But if it is something to do with mental health, which, let's be honest, it could possibly be, it is more than possible to have a relapse. And if it is, well, if it is, I hope hope she can get through it. And it seems Impact will want to help her, which is a good thing, because AEW didn't seem to be interested in actually helping her. But again, don't want to get too much into it. If it is a work, then that's kind of bad booking. If it is a work, you don't need to do that. I mean, for a start, I felt like with Deonna being out in the ring, it would be a perfect opportunity for her to do the heelish thing and make the referee count Kylie out. And then out comes Su Yung. To do it that way. To say that, haha, she's not here, let's just do an open challenge. That's a bit I felt
Well, if it take away everything else, if you are in that moment and you are the champion and your person doesn't come to the ring, your opponent, you're gonna say, "Oh, she didn't show because I'm a heel and she's a weak piece." You know what I mean? So you're gonna say that. So, I mean, I think we could nitpick the little things, but essentially, what you're saying is kind of what happened. She just didn't get the count out over. And I think that the reason for that is if this is a storyline, you don't want Deonna holding it over Kylie that, oh, well, I got a 10 count on you, so we're never going to match, because that's not Deonna's character, really. That's more Rohit, right? I don't know. I think Deonna is going to play off the fact that she wasn't prepared because she's studied and worked film for that matchup with Kylie. But I could see a Kylie and Su Yung, storyline coming out of this.
Where it's heading, and for if Robbie his thoughts, I will say that with the Knockouts titles returning, tag titles returning, I'm kind of hoping that if Kylie does come back, that we get Kylie and Susie teaming up, but occasionally she go back to Su Yung as Knockouts champion. We still get Kylie and Susie, so it'd be an interesting dynamic. Robbie, any thoughts on that, or just what's been said?
Well, I did have a little side note story, if you guys don't mind, that I just thought of during the show when Su Yung came out. My girlfriend was doing some crafting and stuff, and she looks over and she goes, "Oh, that's that girl from." I'm from London, Ontario, so London Comic Con. So 2 years ago at London Comic Con, I went up to meet Allison Kay, and a few tables down from her was Su Yung, full makeup, full gear, on her phone texting with her feet up, as out of character as possible. It was just a weird sight,
Yeah.
Very strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Su Yung at a media con over here. It was very strange. Like I said, she was. I know it's like they do drink stuff, but she was drinking cherry Coke, which is you don't in full gear, like makeup and everything.
Maybe it was her mist.
Maybe. So yeah, we'll just give a quick mention to the Knockouts tag titles. For me, biggest pop of the night for me by far, because finally, I feel like it's a we did it situation. Like we kept asking management to bring them back. We wanted them back. This is how you do it. You don't, like I said, you don't just announce the titles, then put random teams together. You don't put a tournament for YouTube only with nothing at the end of it. This is how you do it. Build the teams, then introduce tag titles.
No, you're right, and we've said that multiple times. Once again, that's just fact. I mean, if you're gonna do this, you don't hotshot it. You do it the right way, and I think a lot of it was us online and talking about it. But I also think that from the little seed we might have planted, they have created such a foundation for this 3 months plus in the making. And it was just smart, patient booking. And the reward is these beautiful belts. Oh. Beautiful. I hope they're gold. I saw them in silver, but I hope they're in gold.
Robbie, your thoughts on the Knockouts tag titles returning?
Oh, I was ecstatic. It was another jump to the front of my seat moment. I've been wanting it for a long time, pretty much since they disappeared. I've been wanting them to have these, and they already have a division set up. I kind of thought Slammiversary they might have announced it since there were so many teams already. Yeah, more than happy. I kind of wish they were starting the tournament right now, but we have to wait till the pay-per-view. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, but I will say I have seen the Knockouts tag titles out of the promo picture, and they are silver.
They are.
Yeah, they.
I saw them too. A couple people post on the line, but I didn't know if that was the official or not.
Yeah, they were posted by the makers of the belt.
Yeah.
They are silver, but they still look incredible.
Still nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the plus side, I can see more knockouts coming in. Mm-hmm. They're not just going to have these teams. There's going to be.
I would look for another show being a knockout show more than I would look for a TNA thing. By the way,
Yeah,
going
that's a
full
good
circle.
idea.
Just
Yes.
you have tag titles. You now have the women could be in the X division, and then you have the knockouts title. So a good place to be for us.
Yes, and once again, proving that this is the best women's division in pro wrestling. Bar none.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, main event time. Now, again, we spoke about some what went down, but I'll ask both again. Is this the right time for Rich Swann to be the face of the company? Bearing in mind everything that's happened with the world title, is now the right time for Rich Swann to hold that belt? Who wants to start?
Hi. Here you go, Rob.
I didn't have a problem with him winning. I was a little more skeptical until I watched the This Is Bound for Glory special, and once I got through his part, I thought, oh, he's got to win. I don't know if I buy him as the face of the company, but winning a world title is a nice first step. He hasn't really been in the main event very much, so he's not really well tested. At least anywhere I've seen him, he's never been the main eventer. So I haven't seen him play that role. But I'm sure he's capable. Great wrestler, charismatic as hell, great promo. He's got all the skills, so we'll see.
He did a lot of work on his promos lately. I have to give him credit on that too. I don't think we can always say his promos were something to look forward to, but I think they given him time since being an Impact. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that when a couple of friends of mine that would always come to watch the TNA pay-per-views back in the day were asking me what the card was, and when I told them Eric Young versus Rich Swann, Eric Young is a main eventer to them, so that's fine. But Rich Swann, they're thinking 205 live Rich Swann, and I had to explain to them he's taking the steps, moving up the card. And it's the right time, I think.
A lot of that online negativity was from a lot of people that gave it another chance that I think were looking forward to finding something negative or looking from a different perspective than us. Doesn't mean they didn't appreciate some of it. They just wanted exactly what they wanted. And if you don't watch the show, you would have to believe that the same thing, that Rich Swann he's not at that level. Granted, we watch every week and I would probably say the same thing. But once again, and I referenced it earlier, but I'll say it now, by the end of that match, I could have gave the referee could have won it. I didn't care. He did his part as an underdog. I deleted it because there was some asshole who wrote on it, and this isn't political, but I will say this, that it felt Impact is very in tune of what's going on in the world. And I feel like, especially here in the States, there's a lot of equality talk and injustice and all that. And if you look past that and don't take this color of his skin and just go from this standpoint that Eric Young represents that wealthy ex-WWE guy as well, TNA original, had been heavyweight champion before. He is the man, right? And Rich represents the new people, the coming up, and the people trying to get their voice heard. And it was a beautiful story of that, where he kept getting knocked down every week, cut out the knee, and the ankle. And I thought they told a nice story. By the end of it, I was okay with him winning. Am I scared to see what comes out of these tapings? Yeah, I want to see if he can handle it, because I agree with Robbie. Yes, the timing might be right because we need some new faces up there, but we need to see it in motion before we can judge it. And Impact Management has done a great job of proving me wrong, especially when it comes to things I do or don't believe now is the time, or the timing is wrong. But
yeah.
So maybe the timing's right. I thought, it's really cool that him and his wife both won on the same night. Yeah. That's cool for the history books. And I think he's a good dude who deserves it. And his promos have gotten better. His matches are always phenomenal. The way I knew he was going to win was the day before. So when did we tape the thing on Thursday night?
Yeah.
Friday, he had done a press. He was going around doing the press, talking about his the reason he was releasing WWE and getting over that hurdle and got it out of because he was looking, Impact Management, I think, was looking for a clean, happy finish to the end of that. And we got that. The biggest disappointment I have with it was that all the speculation we came up with on our own, Team Canada, to Kurt Angle, to all of those things, which I still think we get maybe at these tapings. But as far as the ending to it, I was okay with it. And, you leave it on a happy note, and that's that.
See, now, my feelings towards Rich Swann, I love Rich. I think he's incredible. He's he's the very first wrestler I ever saw live. So, yeah, I think he's one of the absolute best. But with him winning the world title, it was like when Johnny Impact won the world title, I thought, no, he's not ready. Not now. Something's missing. Just shouldn't be yet. But Impact did prove me wrong. I think Johnny Impact was a great world champion after he turned. So it seems that heel turn was missing. But I don't see that happening with Rich. And so I'm going in feeling like there's still something missing.
Right, but not the heel turn. He might not be a heel, but he could play an underdog champion because the next people he faces, let's look, Eric Young again, I imagine. Eventually, you're going to get Sammy from his past. You're going to get maybe Shamrock because he thinks he gets one. And then on top of that, you have the possibility that Willie turns on him at these tapings. So you're going to have a lot of more passionate feuds that he's the underdog. But I don't think they're going to give him, and maybe they'll prove us wrong. Like you said, maybe they'll go out and give him the star treatment, but I think he's going to have to earn it match by match. And I think they'll give him the time to do so.
Yeah, but when the match was over, like for that moment, I should have been, yes, he did it. I was sat there like, not
I guess.
See. But I can prove me wrong.
I was happy.
Yeah,
I wasn't thrilled, but it's not like I'm a Rich Swann guy. But it was still, I was happy to see it. Not as happy as I was when Eric Young beat Eddie Edwards, mind you. But yeah, it was a good moment, I thought.
Like you talk about underdog champions. When was the last time the underdog world champion really worked? I mean,
it wasn't. I'm not a fan of the underdog champion, but I'm just saying
really worked.
It's how they kind of will book him, just like we mentioned with Saban. I felt the same way when Saban won the belt. Was like I said, right now we're supposed to be celebrating this, but he's not ready for it. But if they had a management team like Impact does now, I think they could have turned my feeling of that like that. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and see where they go with this. But I can say that, yes, I see a lot of people griping on it, and obviously everyone saw what I wrote, but in response, I don't think there's anything to defend with this pay-per-view. Yeah, is it our WrestleMania? Technically, in words, but since the one that took place in Japan, there's been some damage done to Bound for Glory. So we need to rehabilitate it. Was it as good as Slammiversary? No, but if Slammiversary was an A, this was a B+ or a B. It's still better than a lot of the stuff out there. There was at least 3 4-star match plus matches, debatable depending how you look at it.
Yeah, I did 3. So
yeah, I mean, going off the Slammiversary point, I mean that only happened that we only got that much of a big show because there was a worldwide pandemic which caused a lot of wrestlers to be released. For them to all converge on that day on their show, that's the only reason that show was as big as it was. Let's be real.
That's sure. Fair.
Without that, we wouldn't have been so hyped for it.
Yeah. That's
okay. I see that.
Yeah.
Because it was still short-term booking. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't know if you want to continue on that first.
Yeah, I was just like I said, if things had to happen in the world for that pay-per-view to be as good as it was. So it was wrong of us to try and compare it to that show. It's no way we're going to get that type of that many wrestlers, that many world-class wrestlers on the show at once. I mean, who's really left now? There's no one's there. I mean, Matt Cardona technically, but wouldn't be that much deal.
I don't know.
As a whole, I think we can agree though that the show did not disappoint if you went into it as just watching a show. If you go back now and you take away all the theories and stuff that we came up with, or the hype that we put there, not the company, but we put there, it's a damn good show, an entertaining, fun show, and that's what wrestling's supposed to be. Take you out of 3 hours of your life. That right now, I think a lot of people can use it. But with that being said, there were things that could be better. And yeah, we love talking positive about Impact, and I'm talking to the people listening here. But it's not our job. We don't get paid for this shit. But it's our duty on this show to be unbiased, to tell the good and the bad and how we actually feel. Because one, it helps other Impact fans maybe feel the same way. Or two, it shows us a different point of view that we're not seeing. And you know, and we Impact fans, I feel, do that more respectfully than any other fan base out there.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, I do need to say that these audio and production issues, if they don't stop, you are going to, it is going to get to a point where the LOL TNA thing can be used again, because that was our problem for the past 20 years. If we cannot, and owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporation, if I'm not mistaken, can't fix the audio or anything, or I have to
cuts. Yeah, doing take 2 on the air.
Josh yell about the audio. They need to fix that, and they need to address that.
Yes,
they need to do that. So that was one big thing, and the other one I wanted to mention, I'll give a kudos to the presentation though. That I think Robbie alluded to it. Was it not Talking Bound for Glory? That was our shit. Road to Bound for Glory or whatever the hell it was. What was it?
This is Bound for Glory.
This is Bound for Glory. Yeah. So all those things did a really good job of making this feel more important. So if they keep adding on to what I felt they did on this time, adding importance to the thing itself by having a countdown with D'Lo and Madison, and then having, you know, those video packages and making it a week-long thing on Access, making the Call Your Shot Battle Royals feel important. They're doing the right things to make BFG get back to where it was. So I'll give them kudos on that. But I do want to say one thing that really irritated me in the pre-show. So obviously there was timing or audio issues, and it affected the time frame, I imagine, the allotted time that the Rascals got in the match.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see, and I think Eric Bischoff had said this recently about James Storm, if I'm not mistaken. If you come out and I know you're going to lose the match because you came out looking like someone pissed in your cereal, you don't need to be on TV. And if you watch that back, Dez did not look happy. It looked in the ring, he just kind of went with it, went through the motions. Maybe it was because his time went down or what happened, or he was going to lose, who knows, but that was 3.5 minutes of just, it was cringeworthy for me. And I want to mention that because I have to be fair, but two, I want to mention it makes more sense why Don and Josh shit on. He's like, "Oh, Trey's our favorite rascal." What do you say, Don? Like they put Trey over and threw the other rascals under the bus. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Nothing came out. I love Dez. I love the Rascals, but I don't want. There's no room for that shit on TV. I don't want to see it.
Robbie?
Well, my question about the whole problems with the pay-per-views, with the audio or whatever. If no one's there, why are they doing this live? Why don't they just tape it? Then there won't be any of these problems.
Yeah, I see your point, but I think you do a disservice. It's a disservice to the wrestlers, I think.
Okay, well, I guess. I didn't know about the pre-show match because Access doesn't exist here, so I watch Impact on Twitch. So, I don't have cable anyway, but So I didn't
Same.
see that. So that makes a whole lot of sense. That why they said that about Trey. I thought, well, that's weird. Des and Wentz might be pissed about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only other thing about all the issues is my girlfriend went to school for television broadcasting, so she really notices all this stuff. So even the little things, are being pointed out that I probably wouldn't even notice, like focus and yeah.
Yeah, I want to mention. I did notice during the gauntlet. I think her name's Ingrid, the floor walker at Impact, who sits on near the commentary desk. She was at the apron talking to Heath. I knew he was going to get eliminated. She was by the apron talking to Heath.
Oh.
We're on the hard cam. Why the hell were they on the hard cam when she was talking to Heath at the ringside? There's cameras all around the ring. Don't go on the hard cam.
Yeah, the only thing I thought about with that was that they were going to admit that he was hurt, but as it went on, they really didn't touch on it too much. So I thought maybe that was the point where they were going to use it, but they didn't. So it was a weird moment. But I think once they get that fixed, I there's going to be very little, that people can complain about with Impact Wrestling. Is it for you? Maybe not, but you could, that's up to the eye, the eye of the beholder, right? If you don't like it, you watch something else. But they're eliminating those things, or have been, especially for the past 3 years, that people have laughed at us about. They've done a great job about that. This is that next big step. It has to be.
Yes.
And there's nothing else to laugh about. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that. What I was going to say. I really need to write this shit down. Like, it's just, I'm very tired, not recovered from Mouth of Glory yet. But it's very, very long week. So basically, I was going to say that I was going to ask for your hits and misses. I'm assuming we all agree the big miss was the audio and or the
that second take of Heath. That's my miss. I couldn't believe I was seeing this.
I couldn't find the Bruce Pritchard GIF of him like walking by Aries by accident when they were live. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it's so bad. So let's go for the biggest hit of the night. The absolutely knocked out of the park. What was it for you?
The biggest reaction I had was James Storm. I would say that was the biggest pop for me all night.
Biggest pop.
Yeah.
As far as biggest hit for me though, overall, just because I think James Storm will be at the tapings. By the way, I know there's people misled by him traveling back to something, but I think he had prior commitment, and I think he'll be at least at these tapings. They set up things with Sami Callihan and him, so I think that'll continue in the tapings. But plus America, I love Beer Money, but Bobby Roode's not a free agent. If we get America's Most, I'll be very happy.
That is what I wanted at Slammiversary. I mentioned it to you guys that if I get America's Most Wanted, it's
just such a random throwback. That would be so cool. But yeah, he'll be there. So James Storm was a big one for me. But as far as like moment, I want to pick that. The biggest moment that I was like, whatever, that they got completely right. I know it's weird and not a lot of people are going to agree, but from the moment Sue Young kept music hit to the moment she won, they elevated her so impeccably and hit her what I think are her, I don't want to say flaws, but her less attributes and really upped her better attributes, and they made her a star last night. So, or Saturday night.
Yeah.
I did like it.
No idea. I haven't had. I don't know what the day is or date. I haven't known since January. I've no clue.
Fair enough. And we're about to hit 5 o'clock in the morning for you, so I think that's our execution.
It's almost 1 a.m.
No, it's 9, so you're 5 hours. Math, you're 2, right?
It's almost 1 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah, clock
math.
Last night.
I'm not carrying this.
It's very confusing. Yeah,
America.
It was.
I'll I'll add that I think my favorite match of the night was the tag titles.
Yes.
That was the most invested I was all night, I would say. So yeah, that'll be my secondary biggest hit of the night.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I put a poll up before we did this to see what people rated it. I put 5 stars all the way down to 2, so it'd be interesting to see what the general consensus was. It was a 4-star for a lot of people, which I thought was nice to see, simply because it's easy as a fan just to go to 5 to make them look better. But 4, I feel like 4 is a legitimate answer from somebody.
I'm an easy marker. I went 4.5. So yeah, I tend to go on the high mark. But if I love something, I'll just go 5 because it was great. So
right, that's all that matters.
Great. Yeah, it was another talking / this special collaboration of shows, a crossover, if you will. What you made of this crossover, whether it was, I don't know, whether it's as good or bad as the Simpsons Family Guy crossover, we'll let you decide.
Cut out.
Oh, I'm next to my router. Why is it cutting out? I was saying that if we'll let you decide whether this was a good or bad crossover. We'll let in the comments decide.
Just fine, Craig. Who gives a shit? It was a fun episode. We'll have Max back on, I hope, next time. But I want everyone to look out for first I want to thank on behalf of Craig and I, of all the people that joined us this whole Bound for Glory weekend, and Robbie as well for being here. We're excited we think we're in a position to finally kind of have others on, and we got our shit together for the most part to make it work. We haven't had our audio. Well, yeah, we did. I cut out, but either way, we're doing our best, and I think it'll be more fun to have some other perspectives on these shows coming up. So, as Craig alluded to, we have through the commercial, we have that music tournament coming up, which obviously everyone's welcome to join us then. And then we have the talking point that's coming out as well, which will be fun. So keep writing us, guys. And to the ones that have came on already, and Robbie as well, welcome to any of the shows. You're welcome to join us. So.
Thank you.
It's about bringing the community in.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be on. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's always a pleasure to talk Impact.
And before we sign off, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. We have now, I'm confident in saying, we have crossed over the 100 subscribers mark. So thank you very, very much. That is incredible. So
we're getting there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, we're froze. The last second. There we go. Hey, you're back.
Hey.
Yeah. As I was saying, yeah, this was that, and hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you. Well, we hope to see your views on our upcoming stuff. There's lots of stuff we have planned, and we hope you'll enjoy it. And we shall see you all next time.
All right, Craig, get some sleep.